right, Isabella. You know, Kalshi, they're pricing a 38% chance that the Strait of Hormuz, just reopens by July 1st. And this is wild. Iran actually just published this draft deal that would supposedly do exactly that. But then, on the very same day, the White House comes out and calls it a complete fabrication. I mean, come on. One of those things, one of those narratives, is doing the actual work of keeping a fifth of the world's oil locked in a bottle. And the market, it already knows which one it is. The Persian Gulf Strait Authority, Iran's new body for managing traffic, it just landed on the Treasury's specially designated nationals list this week. That's a sanctions designation, Isabella. It's a move that makes any deal harder to execute on paper. The very same week, this deal is supposedly being drafted. 4 vessels tried to go through Thursday morning, and they were fired upon, turned back. The market was pricing 59% odds of normalization. Then it walked it back to 38 after the White House denial. That's a 21-point swing in 24 hours, entirely built on the gap between what Iran says, the document says, and what Washington says it is. The document either exists or it doesn't. The market can't be right at both prices, right?
Oh, Amara, that just, wow. What stays with me when I look at this, it's something I watch in my clients every single week, When a system is really under maximum opposing pressure, like 2 forces both just clamping down. The tissue, it doesn't negotiate. It just seizes, right? And what we're watching in the Strait right now, it's textbook seize. The question I keep coming back to is, who is doing the vagal work? Because someone really has to. That kind of tension, it needs release.
Exactly. And that's where we start looking deeper. So who's doing the vagal work? Pakistan, Qatar. Those are the back channels, And the document, whether it's fabricated or not, and that's still a live debate, remember, it carries something structurally real inside it. And this is the fascinating part. Iran proposed Oman as the co-manager of ship traffic through the strait. Oman. Think about it, a country that shares the strait's southern coast and has been the quiet intermediary in every US-Iran diplomatic contact for 15 years. That is not a detail Iranian state media invented for a fake document. That, Isabella, is a mechanism. It names a third body, below the choke point, that could route the pressure somewhere other than directly between, those 2 opposing forces. It's a way out, a drain, if you will.
Oh, that's the downstream drain. That's precisely it, in the body. When you have 2 muscle groups that are fighting over a joint, one contracting, one resisting, it's painful. You don't release the joint by strengthening either side. That's not how it works. You find the tissue below the lock, and you ask it to lengthen, right? You gently, encourage it. And Oman, it's that tissue below the lock. The question really is whether either side is willing to let that tissue do its job, to step back and allow that natural release. It's so clear when you put it like that.
Yeah, well, the market, it's pretty skeptical, isn't it? 38% by July 1st. I mean, that means the sophisticated money thinks there's a 62% chance this is still seized 2 months from now. And this is where the document we've been reading, fabricated or not, actually helps clarify a divergence. It's not one that most energy coverage can even see, because the surface narrative is just tracking the deal. Will it happen? Won't it happen? Is the MOU real, or is it, completely fabricated? But the Kalshi contract, Isabella, it's tracking something underneath that. It's asking whether the bypass architecture, matters at all. And the answer, priced into every barrel of Brent above $100 right now, is not yet. Do you know what I mean? It's not factoring it in.
Huh. Can you say more about that? Because I think the bypass piece, Amara, it's the part that really gets lost. People, they hear about it, but they don't quite grasp its significance or what it actually means on the ground,
Absolutely. So the Saudi East-West pipeline, right? It runs to Yanbu on the Red Sea. Then you've got the UAE's Habshan-Fujairah pipeline, which it runs all the way to the Gulf of Oman, physically around Hormuz. Together, they can move roughly 10 million barrels per day. The strait, before February 28th, was moving 20 million. So the bypass exists, and it is like half the diameter of the clog. Every barrel routed through those pipes, Isabella, is a barrel that lowers the military prize value of controlling the strait itself. The incentive to hold the valve closed, it just falls with every barrel that finds a different exit. That's not geopolitics, my darling. That is pressure physics. And the market, you see, has not priced the bypass as the operative variable. It is still pricing the deal as the operative variable, which means it's still looking at the valve, not the drain below it. It's just not getting it yet.
This is where I want to push a little, because I think there's an important distinction between opening a drain and having enough drain, In the body, and I see this in gut protocols, in clients who are managing chronic inflammation, people, they find the partial outlet and they treat it as the solution. And what actually happens, it's fascinating. The partial outlet creates a false pressure drop. So the upstream node decompresses slightly, the alarm signal quiets slightly, and the system, it just stops working on the structural fix because it thinks the crisis passed, right? And then it builds back to the same C state, usually faster the second time. It's a tricky thing. Oh, Isabella, you've just described the April 8th ceasefire. 2 weeks, limited safe passage, and then April 13th. The blockade is back and the strait is tighter than before. That is the pattern you just described, running exactly on schedule. The ceasefire was the partial outlet. The system, it read it as resolution. But then the structural problem, those two opposing forces treating the valve as the prize, it had not moved at all, and everything just locked back down. Brent was back above 100 within the week, just like that. It's uncanny how it mirrors what you're saying. And what is particularly striking to me from a nervous system standpoint is that the body has a very specific response to that cycle. When you provide partial relief and then re-seize, the tissue becomes more reactive, not less. The threshold for triggering the alarm, it just drops. The baseline tension, it goes up. You end up with a system that is more easily destabilized than it was before the partial outlet. And I look at that 38% calci odds, Amara, that is not a recovery number. That is a number that knows the system is more reactive than it was in April. It's a warning sign, really.
That's such an insightful way to put it. And here's something that almost nobody caught. The Treasury sanction on the Persian Gulf Strait Authority, it landed the very same week the MOU was being discussed. That is the miss signal. Iran was building the management body that would operate the valve under a deal, setting up the institutional mechanism, And the United States sanctioned it before the deal was even signed. From a system standpoint, Isabella, that is not sabotage. It could be leverage, but it functionally raises the stakes of the valve at the exact moment the system needed to lower them. If you are trying to turn the strait from a weapon into a utility, which is the structural fix the document we've been studying this week identifies, right? Sanctioning the utility company is, it's the opposite move, isn't it? It just, it complicates everything.
Unless the sanction is meant to be lifted as part of the deal. Unless it is a bargaining chip that gets traded in the 60-day framework period, like a part of the negotiation itself. It's a different way to look at it, maybe. A more strategic approach in a way, if that makes sense.
Which is exactly where the market, my dear, simply cannot go. The Kalshi contract resolves on observable transit calls tracked by IMF Portwatch, 7-day moving average above 60. That is the number, It does not care why the valve opens. It does not care whether the opening is a bargaining chip lifted, or a military victory, or an Omani-managed transit protocol. It prices the outcome, not the mechanism. And right now, it is at 38%. That means the market's best read of all the mechanisms on the table, deal, bypass, bilateral collapse, Omani mediation, everything, it all adds up to a 38% chance of 60 transit calls averaged over 7 days before July 1st. It's just so clear and yet so opaque at the same time.
Here is where I want to bring it to the individual level, because I think this is where the choke point pattern becomes something people can actually feel rather than just analyze, Like a fifth of the world's oil moving through 40 miles of contested water, that is not an abstraction. It's in the price of every flight, it's in the cost of goods moved by diesel, it is in the inflation print that the Federal Reserve is going to have to sit with this summer while the 38% contract is still open. The body of the global economy, Amara, it's doing the same thing a body under chronic stress does. It is adapting to a level of ambient pressure that is not normal, and it's starting to encode it as baseline. That adaptation, it's expensive. And the cost, it does not show up cleanly in any single market. It's spread out. Do you know what I mean?
That's such a powerful observation, Isabella. And it makes me think about the recession contract on Kalshi. 26% odds of 2 consecutive negative quarters in 2026, down from 37% at the end of March. That drop happened on the back of the ceasefire and the deal signals. If the 38% Hormuz contract is correct, if the strait is still seized in July, that recession number has not yet caught up to the energy number. That, Isabella, is the hidden correlation. The market lowered its recession estimate when the ceasefire came, and the ceasefire didn't hold, and the updated Hormuz contract knows it, but the recession contract has not yet repriced. Watch that gap. If Hormuz normalization doesn't happen by July 1st, the recession contract, it will need to move. It's just a matter of time.
And that repricing happens in households before it happens in the contract, Amara. People are already making decisions, deferring purchases, adjusting how they move, absorbing the fuel cost that are the behavioral expression of the recession signal before it shows up in GDP, This is what I mean when I say the body knows before the market acknowledges it. The individual decision environment is already priced for a longer disruption. People are not waiting for the contract to tell them. They're already reacting.
Absolutely. The document we've been sitting with this week, it makes a claim that I really want to name plainly, because it is the falsifiable core of everything we've been talking about. It says throughput recovers in proportion to bypass capacity, plus governance legitimacy, plus de-escalation, not in proportion to naval tonnage present. That, Isabella, is a testable hypothesis. There are more warships in the strait right now than at any point since the conflict began. Transit calls are at near zero. That is one data point against the force model. But the one thing that moved the needle, May 18th, the US called off a planned new wave of strikes, coincided with oil falling more than 10%. That is one data point for the de-escalation model. Now, 2 data points is not a conclusion, right? But the next 60 days, my darling, they will run the experiment at scale. We're about to see.
What I would add to that, Amara, and this is the part that I think is most important for people to hold, really, is that the de-escalation model requires someone to go first. The vagal step, the strike pause, the call-off, Those are asymmetric moves. One side absorbs the risk of appearing to yield before the other side has committed. The body does this too. One muscle has to lengthen before the joint can open. And the question of who lengthens first, it's not a strategic question in the analytical sense. It is something closer to the irreducible human choice the frameworks always arrive at eventually. It's that fundamental.
And that choice is being made right now, in rooms we cannot see, by people whose names are partly on the record and partly not. The Pakistani mediators, the Qatari channel, the White House spokesperson who used the words complete fabrication about a document that Reuters reported as real and sourced. That is not a settled fact. That is a live fork. And what resolves it is not another analysis. What resolves it is the 7-day moving average of transit calls on IMF Portwatch, 60 calls or not before July 1st. That number will tell you which side of the fabrication debate was doing the real work. The 60-day broader talks window opens now. The astrocartographic practitioners watching this conflict put a volatility window at July 4th, a Mars-Uranus line set to pass just west of Karachi and Kabul. The market puts the odds of normalization at 38% before that date. If the deal is real and the drain opens below the valve, oil falls and the recession contract follows it down. If the MOU stays fabricated and the strait stays seized, Kalshi's 50% plus odds of oil hitting $127 this year come into view, and the recession number corrects upward to meet the energy number. Write that down. The observable signal is not the deal announcement. It is the transit call count. Watch port watch. The valve either moves or it doesn't. The body already knows what forced valves do. Oh, it absolutely knows.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the Strait of Hormuz. If you found our conversation insightful, please remember to like, comment, share, or subscribe to help grow our network and keep these vital discussions coming.
And Amara, as we wrap up, it really brings us back to that core truth. The body, or in this case, the global economic body, will always reveal the truth through its physical responses. The numbers on Port Watch aren't just data points. They are the heart rate of a system under immense strain.
Exactly, my dear. The market's dance with rumor and fabrication can only last so long. Eventually, the brute physics of transit calls, the barrels flowing or not flowing, will cut through all the noise. It's the ultimate arbiter, isn't it? That raw, observable truth.
It is. And for our listeners, perhaps the lesson is to cultivate that same awareness within their own lives, to feel the pressure, acknowledge it, and then seek the real mechanisms for release, rather than getting caught in the rhetoric. It's about listening to what the body, or the world, is truly telling you.
A beautiful sentiment, Isabella. And the next 60 days will be a masterclass in that very listening. Until then, keep watching the signals, both global and personal. We will be here to